Let me know when I can start.
Corey will let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
At least I hope so.
Oh, it says go ahead, Joe, so I can go ahead. Good morning, welcome. We begin our service each week by singing an invitation to gather together even as we are scattered in many different places. Please remain muted as we sing Enter, Rejoice, and zoom in.
Enter, rejoice, and zoom in. Enter, rejoice, and zoom in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and zoom in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and zoom in.
Good morning. I am Joseph, and it is my pleasure this morning to serve as the associate for this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, otherwise known as UUFCC. This service is being broadcast live via Zoom and YouTube. I wish to express my gratitude to the technology wizards. Those supporting technology this morning include Corey, Tom, Sue, and Sharon G, and Rosemary, or Mary Jane, sorry. In addition, I offer a big thank you to Jim and members of the UUFCC choir for this morning's music. I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that will help this broadcast run smoothly. To respect and protect everyone's privacy, it will be our practice to use only first names and, when helpful, last initials. During the service, the Zoom chat feature will be disabled. Please remain muted throughout the service, even when singing. Please sing along. You may wish to have a candle or chalice available for our chalice lighting ritual. At the end of the service, we will virtually gather for a social time, but we will ask you remain muted until you see a posting that invites you to begin. Your patience is appreciated, as we need a moment or two to close down the YouTube connection. The social time will be via Zoom only. We are a progressive and inclusive spiritual community. We value the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and offer a caring and diverse religious community guided by reason, conscience, and compassion. We encourage intellectual inquiry, foster growth, and promote social justice and environmental responsibility. Our welcome is genuine. We are a progressive and inclusive spiritual community, welcoming fellow seekers regardless of age, ability, economic status, or education, regardless of skin color or language of origin, regardless of gender, identity, and sexual orientation. All are welcome here. Whatever your faith or the country of your heritage, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcomed here. Whether you enter on little feet or walked in briskly or ambled or rolled in, you are welcomed here. Whether you are relatively new to our community or have been an active member for decades, you are welcomed here. We are glad you chose this congregation as your place of worship today. In the name of compassion and loving kindness, we open our hearts to accept all kinds of people. For those who seek, our hearts have become church, temple, synagogue, mosque, sanctuary. For those who are hurting, we reach out to share your pain. For minorities or the forgotten, wherever you may come from, you are welcome here. We are the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, believe in the religion of love, which prioritizes no color, no language, or nationality. We honor the truth in all our personal stories. Our religion is about love and inclusion. It is good that we gather today. If you are new here or would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can email Mary Jane at office@uufcc.org or visit our website. We are glad that you are here this morning. This morning's chalice lighting words are by A. Powell Davies, entitled Until We Draw Together. What are we, any of us, but strangers and sojourners forlongly wandering through the nighttime until we draw together and find the meaning of our lives in each other, dissolving our fears in each other's courage, making music together and lighting torches to guide us through the dark. May the light we kindle in our time together guide us once again through the dark and into the bright dawn of courage. The lighting of the chalice is a ritual that unites Unitarian Universalists everywhere. It is a symbol of so many of our values: love, guidance, courage, sacrifice, illumination, passion, and the light of community. In this symbol, we see both the vessel and the flame. The choice is a cup of generosity, community, and sustenance. The flame is the light of hope, courage, and wisdom. And in this symbol, we see much of our aspirations, and it lights the way through darkened times and illuminates our hope for the future. With the lighting of this chalice, we bring forth the flame that is symbolic of the fire of compassion, love, and hope that is held in our hearts. With the lighting of this chalice, we bring forth a light that represents our community, our hopes for a better future, and the spirit of our convictions to our principles. I invite you to light your home chalice and candles. Now we will have a musical selection. Thank you. Okay, our opening words are from the poem written by Reverend Scott Taylor. It's called "Today We Return to the Shelter of Each Other." Today we return to the shelter of each other, to arms that hold us in the midst of the storm, to voices that help us hear our own, to hearts that accept us for who we are. May we be for each other a source of safety and sending. May we offer each other both comfort and challenge. May this place of peace lead us to share peace with others. Let us begin. We have a long tradition at UUFCC of sharing our joys and sorrows and life milestones by entering them into the book of life. Because of the pandemic, this tradition has been modified. You may email your joys and sorrows and personal milestones to bookoflife@uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than the Saturday prior to the service. During the Sunday morning service, following the receipt of your message, the worship associate will read your words to the congregation. I have not received any joys or sorrows or milestones this week. But this morning, we recognize the joys and concerns in our hearts. May we hold all of these and one another in love and tenderness so that this fellowship may be a source of strength, comfort, courage, and hope in the days and weeks ahead. Now let us enter a time of silent prayer or meditation. We will share a moment of silence followed by the spirit of life. Okay, now we can have the song. Okay, that was our own Jim Boyle and his beautiful music. So we appreciate him. Okay, today's sermon will be delivered by Laura Anderson, and the title of the sermon is Cultivating Relationship, What to Expect from Worship.
Good morning. October has many occasions to celebrate. October 4 is the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. Some churches celebrate the life of St. Francis, who lived in the 12th century and is the Catholic Church's patron saint of animals and the environment. As a good Protestant girl growing up, I always thought St. Francis was the best of all saints. Who doesn't love a guy who cares for animals and the environment? Another good guy, our own Unitarian martyr, Michael Servetus, was burned at the stake in Geneva, October 27, 1553. Well, not exactly a celebratory event. When I first read books about him and books written by him, I was so impressed with his intelligence and his accomplishments in science and medicine. His articulation of the idea of Unitarianism made sense, even as a humanist. That trinity never made much logical sense to me. The fact that he was a heretic is just a bonus. There are some other famous people's birthdays in October. E. Cummings' birthday is October 14. I looked for some of his poems to read to you this morning, but I couldn't find one I liked. Maybe you like him though, and we'll celebrate it. Mohandas Gandhi was born yesterday in 1869. Did you know that on October 31st, 1959, the Unitarians and Universalists voted to proceed with consolidation of the two religious organizations into one? I've heard about this merger in new UU classes and from sermons. There are jokes about the differences between the two, but what I didn't know until looking up some details for this morning was that the headquarters for the two were across the street from each other, in Boston, I think. The two traditions had liberal similarities, and combining them strengthened both. The impetus to combine came from Unitarian minister Frederick Elliott and Universalist minister Robert Cummings in the 1930s. There are many national and cultural holidays this month. October is LGBTQ History Month, and October 11 has three important designations. It is National Coming Out Day. If you're Canadian, you know October 11 is Thanksgiving Day. And October 11 is also Indigenous Peoples Day. We're in the midst of Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs September 15 to October 15, and October is both Breast Cancer Awareness Month and ADHD Awareness Month. There are so many great ideas and possibilities for the month of October for our services, and we will address some of these here at UUFCC. The material we on the worship committee draw from is called Soul Matters. It's a collection of materials created by many people, some of them UU ministers. There's a group who call for ideas, another group who puts those ideas together, brainstorm, and then assemble and distribute those materials to people like us. It's sort of like a wiki for worship. Every month we get a document. It's about 40 pages long and gathers materials related to a particular theme. This document includes chalice lightings, opening and closing words, ideas for sermons, and full sermons. It includes pages of suggestions for music, both from the hymnals we used. Remember when we had hymnals and we could sing together? And music from pop culture related to the theme. Each piece has information regarding copyright, which makes it much easier for us to know what material is available for legal use when we're broadcasting our services. Last week, the sermon that Patrick delivered was from this material, and some of the opening and closing words throughout the month of September were also from Soul Matters. There are materials for religious education classes for both young people and adults. The material includes ideas for small group discussions, all related to the same monthly theme. The Soul Matters theme for October is cultivating relationship. And at UUFCC, we will incorporate relationships between Unitarian Universalists and others. We will explore our relationship with our planet, and we will learn about the continuing humanitarian crisis at the southern border. This month, we will hear from 3 members why they support 3 local nonprofit organizations and what their volunteer work means for them. We will also learn more about the organizations we've supported with our second helpings. Reverend Kathy Schmitz will address relationship to each other and to the earth with a sermon about climate change. In addition, Charlie Behrens will give us some practical advice regarding solar panels and electric cars. Our own Sharon W. will advise us on how to cultivate thorny relationships, and October ends with a presentation from the southern border by a member of Team Brownsville. This morning, I invite you to set yourself up for deeper connections with our Sundays in October by considering what relationships matter to you and why do they matter. Relationship with yourself, relationship with community, with others, and your relationship to our Mother Earth. What kind of relationships do you have, positive and negative, and what do you get out of them? What do you put into them? I try to have good relationships with people, but my good intentions aren't enough. A good relationship is work. A bad relationship is work too, hard work. Why do relationships matter to you? Because you're an extrovert? Introverts value relationships too, just a little quieter perhaps. Is it selfless because you are a wonderful human being and you shouldn't keep your fabulous self to yourself? Is it because you can see the clear connections between your words and how they support or hurt another person? Your actions affect other beings. Your relationships matter. We know from science and medicine that relationships are important for our mental and physical health. John Donne said, "No man is an island, nor woman, nor any person, regardless of gender identity. We live in community, and all but those exceptionally skilled hermits are involved in relationships." When I think of relationships that are important to me, I think of the types of people who I am in relationship with, and the types of people with whom I am not in relationship with. But maybe this is the wrong way to look at it. Is the importance of the relationship about them or about me? There is a quote from Douglas Steere that helps clarify these thoughts. The ancient question, "Who am I?" invariably leads to a deeper one, "Whose am I?" Because there is not identity outside of relationship. You cannot be a person by yourself. To ask, "Whose am I?" is to extend the question far beyond the little self-absorbed self and wonder, who needs you? Who loves you? To whom are you accountable? To whom do you answer? Whose life is altered by your choices? With whose lives is yours all bound up inextricably in obvious or invisible ways? When we reframe the thoughts about relationship in this way, it allows us to be vulnerable and ask for help. This view of relationships allows us to love and to be loved. If we reframe our view of relationships, it opens us to meet new people and having deeper spiritual connections with people we are already in relationship with. People we are already in relationship with. That sounds like community to me. While searching on Google for this sermon, I discovered that the phrase, "Whose am I?" is a common Christian idea. People are accountable to God. One interpretation I found says, if I ask, "Who am I?" my answers are about me, self-centered. and my heart is motivated by fear and pride. But if you answer, whose am I? Your motivations are characterized by humility and courage. Does our UU interpretation fit that pattern as well? I love that Douglas Dearkin put this phrase in terms that sound very humanistic to me. A few weeks ago, I spoke of belonging and how I knew I belonged here at UUFCC. When you ask, whose am I? You are asking, why do other people feel you are part of their community? The UUFCC community is our collective relationships. It is where who I am and whose I am overlap. How does UUFCC need you? How do you know you are loved here? Accountability? We are accountable to each other. That's what our covenantal community means. Our lives are altered by the choices made by any one of us. Corey, do we have a slide with the covenant? Well, instead of having you read the covenant with me, I'll read the covenant. Unless you know it by heart, and then you could follow along. This is the covenant for the UUFCC. We, the members of UUFCC, covenant to support and cherish all our members and friends and encourage each other to honor these high standards of relationship. We value a free, open, and mutually respectful exchange of ideas. We honor all voices and encourage thoughtful freedom of expression. We respect each other's views, backgrounds, and spiritual ideas. We listen to each other without judgment or interruption and speak directly with a person instead of about a person. We will address issues and behaviors rather than people and personalities. We will be considerate but courageous in naming behavior that diminishes our community. We offer forgiveness and understanding and expect that from each other. In all situations, we strive to honor everyone's dignity and well-being. We trust this covenant will help us work together to make decisions, solve problems, and express differences of opinion in a considerate, respectful, and genuinely caring way. May it be so. Blessed be.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
For these which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life.
For sorrow we must bear, for
It is our tradition, in our tradition, congregations exist because of the generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. To this end, your offerings to support the ministry of this fellowship, whether by pledge or donation, may be offered online. There are several ways you can give. You can mail checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call the office to make other arrangements. We are also equipped to accept donations through the Venmo app. Payments through this app should be made to the UUFCC offering. If you would like your donation to be applied to anything other than the operating fund, like our second helping, for example, please indicate your intentions in the checks memo line. Your generosity is always appreciated. If you are with us for the first time, please do not feel obligated to give today. You are our guests. Now it's time to highlight the UUFCC special events and activities. Please remember to religiously read your weekly copy of the updates, which includes a calendar and links for connecting via Zoom. The updates provide a very important means for staying connected during these times. Additionally, if you would like to have fellowship events highlighted during the service, you can email the worship associates at bookoflife@uufcc.org. Today, I have the following announcements. On Monday, October 4th at 4 p.m., we will have the seminar Spanish for Beginners, and you would have to find the update and click on the link to get to these online activities. On Tuesday, October 5th at 7 p.m., the worship associates will meet. On Wednesday, October 6th, at 5 p.m., the Immigration Justice Committee will meet, and at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, it's happy hour with John Lee. This from the board: if you do have experience with human resource management, we are forming a small limited time advisory group to help with general human resource management issues. There will be a very, very limited time requirement involved. Please contact Lori Douglas if you would like to assist UUFCC with this project. Don't forget about the BOGO box. You may drop off non-perishable items at any time for donation to CHAP's Food and Hygiene Pantry. The BOGO box is located just outside the main doors. This provides a great opportunity to donate extra items you may pick up at our local grocery stores. Closing words for today are from Community Means Strength by Skyhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free. And now please join me in our tradition of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May these ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. Following the musical selection, those who would like are invited to stay for our social time. We'll let you know as soon as the technology is ready for conversation.
go